Paul.
There we go. Switch it up, Mar.
There we go.
On the right side.
I got to be on, from the driving episodes, which we're going to get back in the car very, very soon. Bills Mafia, hashtag Nation. Welcome to the hashtag Sports presentation of the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets postgame, sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes. Link is in the description, as well as all of our socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All episodes will be on iTunes and Spotify for your listening pleasure. The Buffalo Bills with a convincing 32-6 victory over a divisional conference, a victory of any point tonight.
Yeah. At this point, it just doesn't matter, right?
No, it just doesn't
like
matter.
the whole thought of, well, you could, if you're going to lose a game, nope. Those days are gone.
That's out the window.
Those days are over. Remember, we could have a conversation about which games it was okay to lose.
You could lose all the NFC games. Not anymore.
Yep. Welcome to 1997, guys. We're back.
I just posted a short. Actually, it's not on the shorts. It's on it's on our Instagram page, which has been doing very, very well recently. It's a Scott Stapp singing hello, my friend, we meet again. And it just says Buffalo Bills in the hunt.
Yeah, you simply will never not get a chuckle out of me with anything Creed. You have no idea. You'll never not get a chuckle out of me. Anything Creed related.
When we let's take a minute for a second, Paul. When we post stuff, we're kind of, when I put as our bio ahead of the curve under the radar, that's no bullshit, guys. That's really, I posted after the first touchdown with that mesh concept, and he threw the touchdown to Cook. I immediately posted the GIF of Ken Dorsey beating up everything in the booth. And I just said Ken Dorsey right now. And then 2 touchdowns later, people were posting that later. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
I guess that's how it works.
So I think. So first off, I was very frustrated. If you go back and watch Joe called the game for us, as usual, did a marvelous job. But during halftime, I went on and I was pretty frustrated with Buffalo kicking the field goal to go up 9, 4th and 2 in the red zone. The third consecutive red zone field goal. To me, the Jets are a team that you don't need to be afraid of. So why are you kicking the field goal? Right? Just stop. Zach Wilson had 7 yards of passing at that point. He had passed for 7 yards. Just go for it. You're in the red zone. It's 4th and 2. Stop. Just stop. Exactly. What are you afraid of? You're supposed to be the alpha male. Go take it. And this is, again, just another example of Sean McDermott just kind of well, let's just go up 2 scores, guys. It's 2 scores. Yeah, okay, sure. But when you have a turnover machine and a quarterback and no sense that that's changing anytime soon, you can't give up possessions, right? And just get 3 points 3 times in a row in the red zone. If you couldn't get to the red zone, I understand taking the points, right? Yeah. I get it. But you go for it. That's it. You go for it. Stop playing around. Stop being a coward.
There's a very distinct difference between playing to win and playing not to lose.
Huevos! You have no mamas!
Loud Paul.
Huevos.
Speaking of voodoo, did you say something about Kair Elam with this Buffalo Bills secondary?
Somebody's got to search his locker for the voodoo dolls that he has of every corner or safety that plays for this team. You got to search his locker. This is unacceptable. He's just sitting there clearing his path concussions 2 weeks in the NFL now. Let's go.
I like to
probably treats him like a Super Dave doll. Do you remember Super Dave when we were growing up?
I remember Super Dave when we were growing up. Yes. Thanks for aging us on our own show, Paul. That still works.
Dude, I just played a show at the Town Ballroom doing only 90s music, man. If we did a 30th anniversary show, trust me, the age thing is not lost on me.
30 years ago. You mean the 1970s? No, 1992.
No, you mean when the Back to the Future they'd be going to now. That's the thing.
Ridiculous.
Isn't that crazy? Back to the Future would be going to the 90s. That's it. You'd be going there. That's where you'd be going.
Well, Paul, Allen throws for 3 touchdowns, 275 yards. You hold the New York Jets to 155 yards and you force 4 turnovers. A lot of people, the narrative, especially on Twitter, has been, oh, they're back. would have moved to Brady, would have moved to this and that. You're playing against the team that a lot of times the Buffalo Bills were on the other end of this not too long ago during the drought era, where you would have a really good defense, no quarterback play, and you turn the ball over in your zone and you give up field goals.
Right.
That happened quite a bit. So, and it wasn't a statement about what the other team was doing. It was a statement of, the Bills are just bad. But now, if you look at it, we just kind of, as you guys know, if you guys are watching us, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We always like to take a step back and look at it as objectively as possible. You had an offensive coordinator that came in, and on a short week, he wasn't running any like different concepts. He was just calling like different types of plays, and it took a while for it to kind of mesh for the Buffalo Bills. The one field goal drive that I did like was they had 14 plays. They took 6 minutes off the clock. I mean,
different point in the game though, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I understand
it's a different point in the game.
Totally understand. That's when they went up 6-0. But while I didn't like that they didn't get points there on the sliding Morris catch, it was one of those things where, okay, this is what you have to do to a defense like this. You have to try to get long sustaining drives and wear them down a bit. So I wasn't that mad that you were still able to generate points in that at that juncture. But like the next one, dude, you got to go for it. Like you said, Wilson had 7 yards at that point. Are you that scared of Breece Hall breaking one for 80? Like, no, don't do that. You put more heat on them if you go for it on fourth down. I mean, and you end up getting it. You put more heat on them if you score 7 there. And then the game is effectively over at that point because then you're up 13. The Buffalo Bills, I believe, punted 3 times today, which they weren't very good punts, by the way.
No.
And Sam Martin's been struggling lately. But, I mean, you had 3 punts, and the second time you punted, you were up 29-6 at that point. So it wasn't really that bad that you were punting. So you're able to sustain drives and put points on the board against a team that's just god-awful. But on the bright side, 32 points, most this Jets team has given up this year.
Yeah, and this is a team that's had Buffalo's number, right? Since Josh Allen's first meeting with Saleh in November of 2021, Allen has never had a QBR of above 87. He's never thrown for 250 yards, like excusing the first time they met where he threw for 366 and 125 QBR. So every matchup after that, he was averaging 3 sacks a game against the Jets. He'd thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. It had never thrown for over 250 yards. Like, this was a Jets team that had their number. And this is also a Jets team that gave up 4 turnovers to the Bills, and they still found a way to win that game. Right. Buffalo loses. What was that? Buffalo loses 21-16 in the opener. And I think they had 4 turnovers that game. Yeah. The Bills gave up 4 turnovers. And then after that, you go to the next series of games because you have the Raiders, the Commanders, and the Dolphins. You had against the Raiders, the Bills generated 3 turnovers, you scored 38 points. Against the Commanders, you generated 5 turnovers, scored 37 points. Against the Dolphins, you generated 2 turnovers, scored 48 points. Then you go to London and all hell absolutely breaks loose. There is a significant difference in this team when the defense is generating possessions for you. And in the middle of the season, that was gone. Today it was back. So I don't want people to be all high and mighty on, the change in offensive coordinator made a difference. You generated turnovers, which you hadn't done in weeks at this point. So like you generated possessions there. That was the difference in the team. Dorsey was scoring a lot of points when the defense was generating 3 or 4 turnovers. Like that's baked into the cake with this team. It's baked into the cake.
Yeah, if you talk about it, you kick off to start the game and you go 4 plays, -9 yards.
Right.
I mean, is that a heck of a start? And then that's when you had the long drive was the next possession. And then you had another long drive, which was 6 minutes long, 9 plays, in it, which we said they should have gone for it. At that point, they had 7 yards, 15 yards on 2 different possessions. Why not? You know what I mean? And then, you look at the offensive output for the New York Jets: punt, interception. They had the touchdown, and then second half it was punt, fumble, punt, interception.
Yep.
I mean,
Quarterback change.
but it was one of those things where you take a look at it, you say, okay, this defense hasn't been playing any differently, guys, with the albeit the separation of the turnovers for the last 4 or 5 weeks. They still have been playing the same way, even banged up guys coming in, guys who were working at UPS the week before now are playing middle linebacker for you. Like, it's just like a lot of these things. The Douglas trade at the deadline, I don't think it's enough play.
Totally
Because
agree.
he is not shy about coming up in the run game.
Yep.
He's a very physical, tall, lanky corner that can do a lot of different things for you. That pass that he picked off, the one to Wilson, he's like, no, that's mine. I'm sorry. When have we seen a Buffalo Bills defender do that in a long time? You know what I mean?
Yep. Totally agree.
I think White was the last one that did it, and it was at Washington. He jumped over the back, I think, of McLaurin, I think it was. But like you said, Paul, do they have the and I'll even ask the chat, do they have the offensive output that they had today minus the turnovers? Would they still put up points the way they did?
I don't know. I was really excited to see what the script would look like, right? Those first 15 plays, because that's really what the offensive coordinator prepares for all week. And the Bills had a short week going against a defense that's had this team's number the last 4 meetings, last 4 priors. So, tough week to change offensive coordinators, right? I'm going to get on Sean McDermott for this all day long. When you hear him say, we felt it was the right time, to go and change offensive coordinators on a short week against a team that has really stymied your offense the last 4 times you've played them, that's not what's best for the team, right? It's not.
Well, devil's advocate.
I would love to hear a counterpoint on this.
If they were getting stymied the last 4 times, 3 of those were Dorsey. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
So maybe a change in something that Soleil's not going to be prepared for. I mean, people were saying that they went back to 2020, 2021 when Brady was with Carolina. Like, how much of that film are you actually going to use?
Right.
I mean, the things that I saw different from Brady than I saw from Dorsey was the mesh concept on the goal line that actually got them a wide open look. When's the last time a Buffalo Bill player was wide open on a play?
Totally wide open.
And then the 4th down play and being a touchdown to Ty Johnson. You usually just see Davis standing right behind, behind Allen, pushing him to try to get the first down. It was like 1.5 yards. Runs a play action, throws it to the flat to the back, and Ty Johnson just does the rest. And obviously, I know you got some thoughts on Ty Johnson. Do you want to just unload that right now?
I was really excited to see Ty Johnson score a touchdown. Former team, right? He came from the Jets. They picked Delvin Cook over Ty Johnson. It's effectively what they did in the offseason. Ty Johnson looked great as a one cut back. And again, that's kind of the role Latavius Murray plays for you right now. But Ty Johnson a little bit faster. Murray's obviously a bit more of a power bag. He's obviously a lot bigger than Ty Johnson.
Yes, he's a lot bigger.
Significantly. There's a significant size difference there.
This is true.
But I was excited to see Ty Johnson fit that one cut back role, and he looked great against his former team. I was really excited to see him get a touchdown. I liked him in the first half. I'm glad they were able to get him a couple looks in the second half and get that kid some burn. He's been on the practice squad for you all season, and it was good to see. Now, with that being said, they probably called him up because I expect to see Fournette probably next week.
True. But right? I don't know how you keep the kid out of the the lineup now that he's done that. You know what I mean? Like, you put him on your practice squad, where's he going? You know what I mean? He might go somewhere else. I mean, there might be a guy that needs a backup back somewhere.
Well, and that was the rumor around when the Bills were first linked to Fournette, was they had gotten word that Ty Johnson was going to get signed to somebody else's squad. They had given the heads up, like, hey, we got a contract offer from this team. So the Bills started making phone calls. And that's the way that usually works with the practice squad, is the player will get contacted directly and say, hey, we've got an offer for you. The player doesn't have to accept any other team's offer. It's totally up to them if they want to accept an offer onto an NFL roster from the practice squad. And that's what has to happen. You have to be signed to the active roster of another team in order to be removed from another team's practice squad. So he got an offer. They said, hey, let's start looking at this. Is this the right fit for us? Ultimately, that team rescinded that offer. Ty Johnson stayed on the practice squad. That's why Buffalo didn't sign Fournette a few weeks ago. The prior, and I think he ended up signing 2 weeks later with Buffalo regardless, but that was post Damian Harris injury. So
but that was I mean, like I said, I'm in total agreement with you as far as the fact that, I mean, playing against your former team, you always have a little bit more juice in the tank for it, but
seems like it, right?
6 touches, 58 yards, and a touchdown.
That's
I
good
mean,
night. That's a good night.
That's a great night. Allen, very conservative with the ball. I mean, should we address the elephant in the room with Gabe Davis receiving 0 targets as a wide receiver 2? I think he's a wide receiver 3 now. Can we comfortably say that he's probably a wide receiver 3, maybe even 4 with Kincaid? I mean,
Right.
I think the trio, and Chat, you could feel free to disagree or agree on this one. The trio of Diggs, Shakir, and Kincaid, I think, is starting to gel at such a point that if you try to force feed Gabe the ball, or if you try to do something with Knox coming back, you know what I mean? I think those are packages now that you could have at certain points,
Right.
but I don't think that those are a part of your normal game day preparation and script that you want. I think Shakir, Diggs, and Kincaid are your 3 horses that you're going to ride, try to ride this wave and see what's going on. The fact that they do switch coordinators and Davis has 0 touches, is that even more telling?
I don't really know, Mar. Like, I think the Bills put some interesting things on tape this week. Like, we saw some big man motion. That was interesting. Josh under center and threw a pass. There we go. Gotta go with the it's getting cold, right? Gotta go with the hand warmers
economy?
under center. Listen, in those cold Buffalo winters, maybe Mitch Morris's rear end is a nice way to keep Josh's hands warm during the game. So maybe we'll see more of that coming up. I don't know. But we've been talking about Josh under center, and we saw it a little bit this game, probably a little bit. Again, I'd have to see the splits on it after the game. It seemed like there were times when they were under center where I was very happy that they were finally under center. It just felt like I hadn't seen it in forever. Although I knew Buffalo did run some under center. The fact is that they put some big changes in tape out there. Now, again, mind you, right? You've got this next game coming up, and then the Bills have the bye after that. Am I remembering the schedule correctly?
Yes, they have the Eagles, bye, Kansas City, and then Dallas.
Right.
So 3 out of their next 3 games are against opponents that have at least 7 wins.
And I want to point out, I think people kind of always looked at Shakir when he came to Buffalo as, oh, the Bills got a slot wide receiver. Shakir's 6 foot tall, and the Bills have played shorter receivers on the outside.
All
right.
The time.
So it's Shakir doesn't necessarily profile as a slot receiver. Probably one of the reasons why you didn't really see him much the last couple seasons is because the Bills were kind of trying to find a slot receiver. And then when you sign Deontay Hardy, you're like, okay, well, Shakir's never going to get any slot looks. He probably never was supposed to be a slot guy.
No, it's similar to the fact if you flipped it over on the defensive side of the ball, with the Buffalo Bills mostly running nickel, you don't really have a true middle linebacker.
Exactly.
Like they're outside. They're both, Sam and Will, whatever you want to call them. They're not really, there's a guy that has something on his helmet that he has to have on his helmet to call the plays. And that's pretty much as far as it goes. But if you talk about Shakir, if you game plan and you draw it up right and it's run how it's supposed to be run, you could put a 6 foot guy on the outside. He doesn't have to be a 6'4" guy that out jumps everybody.
Right.
That was the 90s, man. That's not anymore in the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
and let's give a big applause to Dodson. I thought Dodson played probably his best game as a pro today.
Absolutely, he did.
On fire. Again, the Jets are a team that has to establish the run to be an effective offense, and Dodson's going to fit that role really well for you. There are going to be games where that's not great.
No.
Right? There's going to be games where that's not great. Also, speaking not great, Dane Jackson was out going down to the ground. That's a bad look. I didn't hear an update on Tyler Rapp. I'll look for one. I didn't see an injury update on him.
The
more than what I've heard.
Yeah, the one that I heard, it maybe was a pinched nerve, and that's why it was kind of a shock. And I don't know what was going on. Like I said, I'm no physician, but the fact that he got up and he went down, I know it gave a lot of people like very scary thoughts of last year.
Sure. Not the same. No, very different.
No, very different. But the fact that he got back up, walked, and then went and fell, just went to the ground. And I think it scared a lot of people. So we're talking about, we have Taron Johnson with a concussion, Dane Jackson with a concussion, Rapp. We don't know the status of him. Like I said, I'm just speculating at this point. We're going to see how that pans out. But Dodson got a lot of run today. Benford seems like he's back to form.
Mhm.
Playing
Yeah.
opposite Douglas. I like
Mhm.
I like our secondary right now. As far as depth, I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it 110%.
sure.
But as far as how they're playing as a group of four back there, meaning they played. Then again, we got to take it with a grain of salt because they were playing the Jets and Zach
Mhm.
Wilson, and he's
Right.
abysmal.
Yeah.
But I think holding the Jets to 6 doesn't impress me.
Mhm.
Dropping 32 on them, albeit with the turnovers, against this is a very tough defense. It doesn't matter really what the offense
Mhm.
does for the
Yeah.
Jets. That defense is coming at you 110 miles an hour. I would venture to say that this defense is either on par or better than the Eagles,
Mhm.
even though they got a bunch of horses over there, and those guys are freaks in a lot of things that they're doing. So, um, it's going to be very interesting to see next week if the designed Allen runs actually manifest a little bit better than they did today, because Quinnen
Mhm.
Williams is a monster in the middle there. You're not going to do anything with Williams in the
Yeah.
middle there.
Fun fact, Deion Dawkins got into a fight in the tunnel after the game.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see this, huh?
No, I did not see this.
Yeah, 100% got into a fight. Who was the defensive end that he got the unnecessary roughness
Wait a
penalty
minute.
on?
Wait a minute. I thought Fournette wasn't back yet. No, wait. No, I'm just kidding. The
Yeah,
defensive
so
end, I
no,
can't remember. I think it was
72. I don't remember the name off the
I'll
top
get
of
the
my
name
head.
for you.
But yeah, Deion Dawkins 100% got into a fight in the hallway. And then Bills players were talking about how they whooped that ass anyway. So, it's
Clemens. It was Clemens.
Clemens. Yep. That's who the fight was with.
Of
We'll
course.
see what happens there with the NFL. It wasn't on the field, it was in the hall, but you know what the problem with getting into a fight in the tunnel is that there's a lot of members of the media there.
Yeah.
So that's all very visible. That's all
Yeah.
very, very visible. So no yeah. No
Yeah,
escaping that one.
it's going to be very interesting to see what manifests from
Yeah.
that. He's got
Rick
a fight
Rarick asked, any news on Knox and when he will be back? At this point, the Bills have maintained a lot of anonymity around a lot of the injuries. So, like, I'll just give you an update. I'll just give you an example. McDermott was asked on Friday. McDermott was asked Friday about Micah Hyde. And he goes, yeah, Micah's neck continues to be a problem. We're not sure if he'll be available to play any snaps on Sunday. And from what I saw, Micah Hyde played the whole game.
He did.
Right?
Almost had a touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, the Bills are really, really weird about injury updates. I think it's one of those things that they don't want to give information away. So they just give really no updates to any players' injuries at any point. The only thing that we know is that Milano remains to be out for the season, and it does not look like he will be back in time, which is absolutely no shocker. The fact that got reported that he might be back in time for the AFC Championship game is laughable. But they were talking about who's the D tackle that we lost, Daquan Jones. They said Daquan Jones is actually getting closer to a return, which would be huge for this defense. Ed Oliver's playing great right now,
Oh, he's playing
but I'm
amazing.
seeing a little too much of Jordan Phillips for my liking.
You know what? You could say that you're seeing a lot of Jordan Phillips, but when Micah Hyde has one tackle, Jordan Poyer has two tackles, Taron Johnson went out to half, he had three. That's because your linebackers are making all the tackles for you. And what happens when your linebackers make all the tackles? That means your defensive linemen are eating up bodies for them to make those tackles. And it wasn't like they were tackling the nameplates today either.
No,
they weren't just grabbing, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook by the back of their jerseys to try to drag them down. What Phillips doesn't show up in the stat sheet. I know you're seeing a little too much of him that you want, but the point is he's keeping bodies off that second level, and that's 110% what you need to do. And he's actually eating bodies. So, I mean, people were saying before, and this is the great thing about Oliver, and I'm glad you brought it up. They were saying, okay, you got to double the one tech, and then you leave Oliver one-on-one. Well, you can't do that because he's going to destroy you. And they even mentioned it tonight in the broadcast, the fact that Oliver, even when he's double teamed, is getting through and making a disruption on run plays.
Yeah.
So the fact that those two interior guys are able to do so much is one of the reasons Leonard Floyd had 2.5 sacks tonight. It's one of the reasons why Epineza continues to be a monster in there.
Yeah. You're not going to see him back in a Bills uniform. He's going to make big
Unfortunately.
money in free agency.
He will.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing about that is, can Von Miller stop running toward the tunnel every time the ball is snapped? He literally just sprints up the field 15 yards to try to go around, and I'm like, you can't do that.
Well, and then that spin move is looking real soft. He's trying to hit that spin move on the inside, and it's looking pretty soft.
And I understand the fact he's 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's going to be a Hall of Famer and all that stuff. And I'm just a Yahoo with a mic. But the point is, anybody who watches football can see the fact that he's not where he was or who he was. Mm-hmm. So therefore, okay, he brings you a lot of leadership, but that's not helping you stop guys on third down.
Right.
I'm sorry. It just isn't. Epeneza's outplaying him right now.
Yep.
And you don't like Epineza. I know you don't like Epineza.
Sure don't. But you're going to see the Bills gamble on Von next season, right? They're not going to be able to re-sign Epineza. You just don't have the space for it. It's the bed that you've made for yourself. But Rousseau looked great. And again, I don't know if that was just because the right tackle position's a weak point for the Jets.
Yeah. Well, Becton went out early. That was the problem.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah. So is that just an aberration? But if that's the case, then Von should have looked better. I thought Von looked good, but I didn't think Von looked great.
Yeah.
I thought Rousseau looked great, but if it's subpar right tackle play.
Well, it does go back to the things that we talk about all the time, is the fact that if you have backups in there, you're supposed to dominate, and that's what they did. Mm-hmm. They ended up dominating. So that's what they were supposed to do. It gives you hope for the future of what's going to happen. The fact that A.J. Epineza, I can't believe I'm about to say this, is not going to be in a Bills uniform is upsetting, because the guy comes in, he's like the Thomas Vanek of defensive ends. He comes in on that rotation, and it seems like he always puts up big plays when you need him the most. Mm-hmm. And it's like
they are using him situationally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They are. They are being, but the fact that I saw an inside stunt with Gregory Rousseau going up on the center and totally manhandle. Was it, who's the center? They just drafted him out of Wisconsin. It was a rookie, but they just beat the crap out of him. And it was absolutely fun to watch. I like the inside play anyway. But then going on, when we talk about, moving forward with this Buffalo Bills team, having to face the Eagles, having to face the Chiefs. The Chiefs and the Eagles might just both implode on each other tomorrow night, so we don't even know. So what's going to happen with that game? But the one thing that I wanted to bring up, and no one's really talking about it, is the fact that you always see those inactives on game day.
Yeah.
Who are the two guards? There's a guard and a tackle. If Eddie, what's his name? There's always the two guys. There's
Alec Anderson, and George F. Feldy, however you pronounce that.
I believe that if I'm not mistaken, those guys are making veteran minimum at this
probably.
Point,
yeah, probably.
They have as much playing time as Ryan Bates.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And Bates is making
a ton of money to sit there.
Yeah.
But I think what I want to do is I wanted to lead that into the fact that this offensive line is one of the units that haven't been banged up pretty much the whole year, and they've been together the entire year.
Pretty healthy. And Josh had a lot of time today. Josh made that pocket look tougher than it was early in the game. There was
that's what it was.
Yeah, Tippmann is the center. That's right. So, but Josh had the time early in the game, and he had the time later in the game too. But the pocket was pretty well controlled, and even on, just as an example, right? Like the Hail Mary play where they only rushed 3 defenders. Josh still running around like he was pretty clean. Like he didn't need to be doing all that.
He got a little bit of pressure there, but the fact is, I like how he moved the pocket every once in a while.
Sure.
So he would drop back, he'd hit his back foot, and then he would just slide just a little bit, just a little evasion and throw. And some of those, he's throwing the ball as he's sliding, which he's got the arm strength for it. So I can't knock him for that. But I mean, and then he had a couple drops today too.
Yeah.
That weren't good. Like he's doing as much as he can back there as any quarterback for their team could do.
And Ryan Laso in the comments section, so much time they could be laid on a throw to Shakir. Am I right, Paul? I will die on the hill that he was late on the touchdown throw to Shakir. And by the way, if we're waiting for the safety to drop, Kincaid was more open than Shakir, and Shakir that ball was close to being tipped or picked. So
It looked
I think
close,
it was
yeah.
late. I still stand by the fact that throw was late and Kincaid was wide open. But we'll see once we see the behind the core or behind the center film, right? Then I think that will be the true the true determining factor between Ryan and I knife fighting over the fact that I think that touchdown throw to Shakir was late.
You guys had a UFC style fight on that. It
You
was
know what?
insane.
You know what? That's as I said, I'm willing to die on this hill. I don't think the side view is a fair representation of the play. I think the throw's late, so I'm willing to wait for the end zone cam to determine whether I'm to determine how correct I am. How's that? To determine how correct I am.
Ryan, he's not going to quit. He's not.
Nope. Because all I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot to how wide open Kincaid was. Even if the throw is not time.
Quick change.
I do want to point out that now that it is starting to get colder in Buffalo, we saw Josh under center. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of that, right?
Yes.
As we all remember, Josh under center gives us some heebie-jeebies because the only time we normally see him under center is on the 1 yard line, and I think that scares the living hell out of all of us. But snow scares a lot of folks too. Don't forget hiking, golfing, visiting the Valley of the Sun, Mr. Rogers, Homes. Make sure you go visit Sean's page, give them a like, and then you can start taking a look at some and all the wonderful tropical climate in Arizona. It is much nicer there than it is here for the rest of the year and into the early part of next year. It is much nicer.
It was. So Paul, I want to give you in the chat my concerns moving forward.
Yeah.
Joe Brady.
Sure.
Obviously, we have a very limited sample size of him being an offensive coordinator, albeit he was already in the NFL once, so that's fine. He was for the 2019. It's well documented, the 2019 LSU team, which you and I could have been offensive coordinators of that team as well.
Yeah. Hey, had Joe Burrow. That's. I get why he got back in the NFL. I can't believe he got back into the NFL as a offensive coordinator, but I think we could all be pretty critical of the Matt Rule coaching staff in Carolina. Like, I think they're going to all probably look around and say, hey, but what are you doing here? Do you know where they keep the coffee in this place?
This just in. And I know you really don't have this during the game, but I really don't want him to have to look over his shoulder. I want him to play like he's playing with house money. And I want him to call plays and dial up plays like that. I don't want him to be like, well, Dorsey would have called or may have called this in this situation. I'm going to purposely call something different because I don't want to call something that he calls. That's the only thing that I was thinking, because I immediately thought about it when they had that fourth down play and he threw the touchdown to Johnson. And I was like, first of all, I said, like everyone else, I said, Dorsey would never. Right. And then the other thing, I was like, I just don't want him to try to be so different than Dorsey that he gets away from things that are actually successful in this offense.
Sure. Yeah.
I really think that he sat down with Josh in the offense. He's like, okay, what are you guys comfortable doing? I didn't see any guys today that were 5 yards within each other when a pass was thrown by Josh. I'm just going to say that.
That's wishful thinking kind of early on, isn't it? The one thing I will say, though, about this game and kind of if you go into the drive in the second half, and this is what kind of secured it for me, was the Bills were never third and makeable, right? Like it felt like they were behind schedule almost all day. Where they'd be, 3rd and 8, or, 2nd and 12, right? Like they just felt behind schedule all day. And again, the extra possessions kind of covers that up a bit, but I just never felt like they were in a 3rd and 4 all day, right? Like it just felt like they was like 2nd and 12, 3rd and 8. And looking at the drives, that's pretty much what it looked like for most of the day. So I think there's a lot of maturation that still has to happen here with the concepts that have to be installed. And it's not often you can get away with being, 3rd and an outside ideal distance, right? Like you want to be 3rd and 2, you want to be 3rd and 3, right? Those are makeables. Yeah. 3rd and 8 is on an NFL level just often not converted, right?
No,
it's not.
But if you put in the defense's mind that you now have a quarterback that is willing to run the ball as well, and you have so much of the field to defend because he can literally put the ball anywhere on the field. It's like, okay, it's not like a situation where you got a pocket passer, or it's not a situation where you're like, okay, we got this guy. he can run, but let's flush him out to his left. He can't throw
Right.
when he's going to his left. You know,
Right.
it's not one of those situations. You have to cover
Mhm.
all, 120 by 53 and a half, I think it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. For Josh Allen. And that's one of those things where I think he tried to showcase that tonight with actively trying to run, Allen. And
Mhm.
I think Allen had 5 carries tonight. Yeah, 5 for
Yeah, 5.
15.
Yep.
So it was more than his usual,
Mhm.
as we've talked about, but it's one of those things where now the Eagles have to sit there and go, why isn't Dorsey there? We know Allen wasn't going to run. We were going to do a bunch of these things, and it might be one of those things that they have to plan for that they're not going to be ready for. So I think the element of surprise against the team, which now is 8-1, but by the time you guys listen or watch this, they may be either 8-2 or 9-1. They're looking at it at the perspective of, hey, if we're going to lose one, let's lose to the
Stop with
AFC
that.
team.
Stop with all that.
It's gonna. I think it'll be a battle. I think minus the turnovers. Obviously, Allen only had 1 today. Really, only put the ball in harm's way once. On the Hail Mary. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I didn't see Jet defenders getting hands on the ball. I mean, some of them were close, but I didn't see anybody get a hand on the ball like they have
Right.
in previous weeks.
Just to back up a previous point, Bills were 5 of 13 on third down efficiency. That doesn't win many football games. That's
You only win those if the other team is 0 for 11.
Yeah, well, ding, ding, ding.
Johnny, tell her what she's won.
Yeah, right. So kind of moving forward, if you're looking at what the Bills do well versus what the Eagles do well, where do we see this going? Right? Because the Bills, again, I really attacked the Jets today. They just attacked them on defense.
Yeah.
Can you do that with the Eagles? Because you've got an absolute animal in AJ Brown. You've got a really slick route runner in Devonta Smith. And you've got a secondary that's got some real big question marks, right? You don't know if Dane Jackson's going to be healthy. I would imagine him not clearing concussion protocol. He went out on the way down. Teron was deemed with a concussion. We'll see what that looks like. We'll see what happens with Taylor Rapp. So, I mean, you got some problems here, and going against that team, that's an issue, right? So what do the Eagles do well versus what do the Bills do well? And what does that mean for next week?
All right. I'm more concerned with Swift, to be honest. I'm more concerned with him because somebody mentioned it in the comments a little bit earlier. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, listen, the amount of times that passes go to the backs where they end up picking up first downs, where they just throw a quick dump off and then they end up getting the first down.
Right.
That scares me more than an AJ Brown or Devonta Smith. I mean, that's what it does. As far as the defensive side of the ball is concerned, we'll have to see how the concussion protocol is followed by the Buffalo Bills this week. It's unlikely that guys come back that same week. It's very tough for that to happen. But if they are back, I mean, you're looking at Cieran Neal or Cam Lewis on the slot. I don't like that. Let me borrow a page out of your book, Paul. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, don't like that.
Mario's
Mario's calling Dean Marlowe, seeing what he's doing.
Oh my God, I think he's in Detroit still, isn't he? I don't know. Anyway, point being is this: you don't have a lot of options back there for you to do anything with the team. You got to pray that Douglas does not get hurt at all, because maybe he can go against AJ Brown, but AJ Brown is not of this world. I don't think he is human, so it's gonna be kind of tough to kind of guard an alien like that. So, but I mean, Douglas is your best option. He'll probably follow him around all day. We saw it happen with him covering Sutton. And
that's why I agree with you here, right? Because Douglas followed Sutton all day long, and normally I would disagree with you here. Say, Mar, the Bills don't do that, right? They don't follow guys. I think now with the pressure that they're having to bring, they're having to play a lot more man on the backside because they have to generate so much more pressure. So I do agree with you there. The one thing I will say to bring up a point off your Swift concern. Is the Eagles aren't going to miss the fact that if you just park Swift 3 yards past the line of scrimmage and then Hurts just buys some times and shovels it a la Russell Wilson, that's a very dangerous play against this Bills defense.
Yeah.
Right. Because that little shovel pass from Russell Wilson absolutely killed the Bills defensively. It was always effective. I know it was never by design, but teams are going to see that and say, okay, let's make a contingency plan, right? What's our fairest contingency plan against this? Because it really is an effective play against Buffalo. Let the pressure go. Let the quarterback, if he's mobile enough, step up. It just get something very, very underneath, but just in the middle of the field, and let your playmakers generate plays and yardage. You know, it was real dangerous.
Yeah, if you look at the Eagles' offense, and the things that I've seen is, okay, you got Hurts coming in where he has 15 touchdowns on the year. He has, he's not blowing the doors off of the touchdown passes. Like, it's not like you have to be really concerned about all that. But he has 8 interceptions as well. So he's averaging one. So you can hopefully try to get one, try to steal a possession somewhere. And with the way that this Buffalo Bills defense has been playing the run the last few weeks, they have been playing it very, very tough. You got to try to force him into a bad situation where coverage doesn't break down, where he Hurts is running around and breaking the pocket. So I don't know what that is, where you have Dotson and Bernard, where they're sitting there, one spying, Swift, or one has Swift the whole time and one has Hurts. I don't know how you do that. Will Poyer be a guy that comes down in the box a little bit more to try to take some pressure off, so Dotson can blitz, and maybe you got that. The twists and stunts and a bunch of the things that you're going to be doing on that defensive front with the front four, whoever's in there, is going to be key and instrumental in that game, because you have to try to force him into making a bad decision. You can't just let him sit back there and roll around, because this is not the secondary that, albeit playing very, very well, it's not the secondary that you can have covering guys for 5 seconds, because bad things will happen. Like, you guys thought that the Hale Murray was bad. I mean, let AJ Brown go up against the secondary right now. Try to go up and get a 50-50 ball. It might be very, very ugly. But Douglas has been, and Ryan even put it in the chat, he was following Wilson around today too. So that might be one of those things that they're trying to do. They're trying to implement. Listen, you follow the number one wideout, we'll take care of everything else.
And it's talking about linebacker coverage, right? For those of you that don't know, Dallas Goedert is not going on the IR for the Eagles, which would require him to miss 4 games. The Eagles have the bye in there, right? Yeah. So if they put Dallas Goedert on the IR, it would actually turn out to be 4 games plus the bye week, right? So he would have been, he would have been gone for ultimately in calendar weeks, 5 real weeks. But again, 4 games. They think he's going to be back before that, but he won't be back for Buffalo. Again, he fractured his forearm, for crying out loud. So they think he'll probably be back in within a couple weeks at this point, versus having to put him on IR. So just because he's not on IR doesn't mean that he's going to play against Buffalo. He will not. He will not play against Buffalo. No. Again, he fractured his forearm. So would you see him the week following? Maybe, right? They just weren't going to put him on IR because of the bye week happened within that injury, and he would have had to miss ultimately 5 calendar weeks and 4 games. I think the Bills ran into the same situation last year. I don't remember what the injury was, but the Bills did the same thing. There was a player they could have IR'd. They thought he'd be back sooner, and because of the bye week, and they just held off. So again, nothing to see here from tight end play in Philadelphia.
But they might,
and that's a big hurt for them, because Goddard's a huge part of their offense.
He is, and they might supplement Julio in there for that. Julio Jones, recent pickup that they have, he might just be the guy that plays that tight end role and runs the similar routes, because that's really what his route tree is now anyway. Yeah,
he's got to stay inside, right? Julio's a guy, he's got to stay inside. Goddard has only got, I think he's less than 40 catches. I think he's got around 400 yards and only a couple touchdowns. But that run game goes through Goddard. Like, he's a huge force in the run game.
Yeah, he's got 2
and
touchdowns.
without that, the threat in the passing game isn't there. I think it's pretty easy to find run blocking tight ends. Like, you could find those pass catching tight ends, not as often. But it's at this point, nothing to see here from the tight end play of the Eagles. But you bring up a great point. Julio could kind of sub that in, kind of like what Buffalo does now. Instead of, Buffalo's run a lot of 11 personnel, right?
Yep.
That's what they're doing. Run a lot of 11.
Just one more point to bring up on the offensive side of the ball as far as next week is concerned is, you talking about a guy, DeAndre Swift has 135 attempts this year. He's got 30 of those for first downs.
Mhm.
Hurts on, he's got 88 attempts, 39 first down. So
Right.
those are the guys that they like to use. And to Paul's point, Goddard is the guy that usually sealing the edge for Swift to get outside and
Mhm.
get those. And the fact is, this Eagle team doesn't get in a lot of third and longs. And one of those things and that's what you want as far as an offense is concerned. You don't want to be in those third and long situations. But when they do, they go to Brown. I mean, this guy's got 92 targets on the year, 67 catches. That seems like a big difference.
Yeah.
A very big differential. So they'll take shots at him. Then they're going to take shots at him. They're 8-1. So what do they really need to change at this point?
Right.
The Buffalo Bills are a team where they're trying to get their moxie back, but the defense has been playing very, very well. It will be a huge test for this Buffalo Bills defense if they're able to escape from Philly with a win and
going to the bye.
Have some success again defensively against this team. You might see a completely different team come out against the Chiefs after the bye.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see. But as far as today, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as the defense of the Eagles, I think you're probably looking at something pretty similar to what you saw today. That defensive line can get at you.
Oh my God.
I thought the Bills did a good job of controlling that, just controlling the offensive line. Josh walked away with only 1 sack. So that's fine. He actually saw him throw a pass away. Can you believe that?
No, I still can't. I have to rewatch the tape. I thought it just slipped out of his hand.
Yeah, no, he threw it sideways on purpose. Yeah, it was definitely.
He threw a couple away. There was one he was rolling right. He just threw it out in the 5th row, and then for him to he has to. I know it's going to sound very, very stupid and very elementary, but he can't turn the ball over at all in that game.
No,
we're talking
possessions.
If he's no fumbles, no picks. I don't care if you guys want to say it's an arm punt. I don't even care if he has the Hail Mary again, but he can't have any turnovers in that game. He has to get out on the edge. He's got to get away from that rush that's inside. But the fact is, the New York Jets have one of the strongest rushes in the NFL in the middle, and he still had him under center and in the pocket standing back there. He wasn't just trying to actively roll him out just to one side of the field, because obviously, Paul, when you do that, you cut off half the field for the guy.
Sure.
And those half field reads are for, first and second year players. They're not for your $250 million franchise quarterback to do.
Gosh, no.
So if they're able to control that, like you said, if they're able to control that pocket a little bit in front of Josh, and then he can be judicious with his runs. I saw him slide today too. That's threw a ball away and slid today. I don't believe we're looking at the same Josh Allen. That's crazy.
Well, and the Bills, we've been talking about it for weeks here. The Bills have not been a team that could score from enemy territory all season. Right. They haven't done it. Yes, Josh is a 70% completion percentage, but the Bills haven't been able to score from enemy territory. And, that touchdown to Shakir was the first time you've really seen Buffalo put a long play on the books in weeks. That was a Josh read the field and picked the right guy. And don't get me wrong, Shakir did a great job after the catch. But that's something this Buffalo Bills offense typically hasn't been very good at, is yards after the catch. Diggs is playing out of his mind after the catch. I've never seen the Stephon Diggs. I don't know about you. I've never seen this player after the catch. Diggs has always been great, but he is on another level this year with yards after the catch.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing that we haven't seen in previous games was run after the catch. We haven't seen that in previous games under Dorsey. And that's probably one of the things that Brady wants to do. He's like, listen, if I can get you in space. I mean, some of those plays, Allen was just taking what he didn't even care about the read. So I'm going to go to the back.
Right.
He's out, and everyone likes to make fun of Romo, but I mean, the guy was a former quarterback in the NFL. He knows about leverage. He's got leverage. He can make it to the outside. He can get the first down. He can keep the chains moving. He can keep this defense on the field. That's what you have to do. I mean, unfortunately for the Buffalo Bills, they have to play an up style tempo offense where they snap the ball with 5 seconds left. And try to control the clock.
What tells me that this offense hasn't been in sync all year is that you're not seeing Josh throw any back shoulders. You're not seeing any fade routes. Those passes haven't existed all season, and we didn't see any today either. So let me just be clear about that. But that is a sign that the offense isn't right. When those passes just don't exist. The back shoulder throw is completely indefensible, but it requires an immense amount of timing and trust. And those haven't been there all year. it just tells you that the offense is out of sync. Hopefully we start seeing some of those work their way back in design, because this offense needs to start trusting itself. And, again, good things today, extra possessions. I liked some of the design that you saw from the offense, but scoring from enemy territory is probably the biggest thing for me as far as a takeaway. And the offensive line walked away with no injuries. And going into Philly, you had to have that, right? You had to come back clean on the offensive line.
Yeah, they kept him clean, they kept him up, and then Apex even puts in there. My favorite part of Allen's game today, his reads were short to long. Mm-hmm. The picks that he usually throws in the sidelines, I didn't see many sideline throws. To be honest with you, a lot of it was in the middle to Kincaid, to the backs. Yep. And what does that do? That opens up Shakir. It eventually opened up Shakir on that route because you were just peppering everybody down low and short and outside with the backs. And that's what it does. And probably, but that's the one thing that I really want to take a look at, and I want Bills Mafia and Hashtag Nation to take a look at, is the fact that Davis had 0 targets today. And
did the Bills start screen?
Start screen?
Yeah.
With the -9?
Yeah, first 2 plays. Screen. Because I know the second play was a screen to Diggs that was just thrown out front. I think the play before that, I thought it was a screen. I thought they tried a screen.
It might have been. I can't remember. But the main difference I could see from Dorsey and Brady is the fact that he wants to run after the catch. He wants to get the ball in these guys' hands quickly and have them be athletes. He doesn't want to just have it where it's stagnant.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you say that, because then when you look at the splits, right, you had a 1 rush from Deontay Hardy for -2 yards. And you saw 1 target for Deontay Hardy. No targets for Sherfield, who's not even a part of this offense. So we shouldn't even mention him.
He's a special teams guy. Yeah.
Right. But again, if we're talking about yards after the catch, that Hardy was your most easy plug and play there. Right. Yeah. Because he's probably the most electric guy outside of James Cook. But James Cook slowly absorbing more targets, 3 for 4 today, 29 yards, 1 touchdown. You can't ask him to pass block.
No,
right.
No, he's an explosive guy. I mean, why not? Why not get him the ball in space where he can use that speed? I mean, he gets to the edge so fast.
Sure.
That you just have to give him the ball out there. And that's the thing I'm going to be looking forward to next week. So, guys, we're at that time. We haven't been able to do this for a few weeks, Paul.
Vita Vega comes in, probably the comment of the night. Interceptions were kept to a minimum because no passes were thrown to Hardy and Davis. That might be the comment of the night.
But, I mean, to that point, Paul, we talk about all the time. Sometimes when you run a jet sweep, even if it gets no yards, it serves its purpose.
Yeah, Apex right here. Jet motion paid off in the Johnson TD. Yeah, that's it. You got to have pre-snap motion. You have to have it. And we saw early in the game, we saw pre-snap motion from Diggs. I was like, oh, that's not the player I would have thought. Right? Like you're trying to pull, and the reason that I thought that was, I think they thought they were going to put Sauce on Diggs all day. Yeah. Right. So they were trying to keep Sauce out of the play by running Diggs in pre-snap motion, pull Sauce down, and then you expose the rest of the secondary because he's without a doubt their best corner. And I think that's what they were trying to do. And you didn't see that, in the second quarter like that. That was gone. Right. I think they'd figured out what was going on at that point.
No. Yeah, you definitely got that. All right, so 2.5 minutes on the clock. Hashtag Nation. If you are new here, when the Buffalo Bills win, we roast. And
no silly hat, Mario. What's up with that?
So it's it's still in the box. We haven't had any snow. We haven't had any really cold weather that I've needed it. So I'll definitely get silly hats. We'll be breaking out very, very soon. So 2.5 minutes on the clock. Hashtag Nation. You can roast anything you want. Make sure keep the gloves above the belt. That's all I would say. So let's rock and roll.
Oh, Zanman, speaking of 30 years ago, it's good to see Paul after his silver screen debut in Little Giants. If you're thinking I'm the one wrapped up in the foam, you are correct.
You can't give it to Johnny. I'm Johnny.
My mom would not let me play organized football. She would not. She forbid me. So as luck turned out, I got really good at bowling. So I'm very good at the non-contact sports.
You should have. There's a text message that I still have saved on my phone from Paul when he was holding an NFL-sized football with his hands.
Yeah,
And
my hands are as big as yours. Yours are wider, but we're the same size hands.
mine are a lot fat. Hey, it's hey, there it is.
Yep.
It's the Ramon Humber and Star Show.
Yeah, there we go. Ramon Humber will forever live in the infamy of this channel. I'm still waiting for him to show up someday. Like,
hopefully
still
he
waiting.
does.
I wouldn't want him on this linebacker group. Nope.
Oh even with
nope.
this, even with the injuries, you wouldn't want
him. Nope.
Poyer's your best third linebacker you have right now.
I know. Yeah. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Like, it's one of those things where who is the linebacker for the Bills that went to play for the Eagles? Actually, I think Sean McDermott Eagles, if I'm remembering correctly.
Kiko?
No. That couldn't handle the cutback lane.
Bradham.
There we go.
Nigel Bradham.
There we go. Paul looks like he still orders Happy Meals. As a matter of fact, I do. I have a 3-year-old, so I do still order Happy Meals.
They're delicious. Why wouldn't you?
Ever since McDonald's added the $5 meal, that's pretty clutch. Right, the $5 meal is a good pull because they had to compete with Wendy's. Wendy's biggie bags they're a good pull.
I'm tired of having to take out a loan every time I go to McDonald's.
It is expensive. And why do they always ask me if I ordered on the app? Like, if I'm getting McDonald's, I didn't plan that far ahead. I wasn't looking forward to going to McDonald's. I wasn't like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling a McDouble right now. No. I'm
Nobody feels
here.
that.
Yeah, I'm stopping here because you happen to be on the way to where I'm going, and I don't like it either, right? You don't like that I'm there. I don't like that I'm here. Why am I going to download your app and order food through the app?
I'm about to feel awful in about 25 minutes.
Right.
I gotta play the hurry up and get home before I shit my pants game.
Exactly. I'm 41. That McDouble is going to do more than McDouble me. Okay. I'm going to be McDoubled over in the bathroom all night. So we're all here in a compromise, right? Like, we're all here because we've compromised somewhere in our life.
You pretty much said, forget my 70s when you roll into a McDonald's guy.
Yeah, 41 McDonald's hits a lot different than 27 McDonald's, right?
27 McDonald's, I eat it and lose 3 pounds. 41 McDonald's, I need a nap and a colonoscopy afterward.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us for the Hashtag Sports presentation.
Paul likes the Mick Humber.
The Mick Humber. That's gonna be something someday with ranch. Join us for the post game presented by Hashtag Sports and our sponsor, Mr. Rogers Homes. The Buffalo Bills won a very much needed game, a division game, a conference game, and just a game in general. 32-6 against the New York Jets. Make sure that you follow us this week. We got a bunch of shorts coming out. We got a bunch of goofy stuff. Make sure you follow all of our socials: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
You've been on fire with the shorts and the Instagrams.
I am having fun with those.
Yeah.
I'm trolling Bills more than the other teams. That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah. Well, full transparency, guys. So I'm going to share something about our channel that most of you don't know. So for some reason, we got demonetized on YouTube, and I couldn't tell you why. And I think it's because our content's just too funny. Like, I'm thinking that's it. I don't know. But they demonetized us with no warning. So we got to go through this whole appeal process. So apologies if we bitch and complain about that. But I don't know. Like, we started making a lot of shorts and they were doing really well. And then all of a sudden YouTube's like, yeah, we're just going to not let you, like, we're not going to incentivize this for you anymore.
Yeah. You're like, you got 5,000 subscribers and why do you have 3,000, 4,000 views on everything? You're cheating or something. Like,
yeah. I don't know. It was weird.
I don't know. So join the Patreon too, guys. That's in the description there.
That's not what I was going. I was not going for the alley-oop.
I know. I was.
No alley-oop intended.
I'll do it. I don't care. $7.16 a month. We're gonna start. If we get people to join it, we'll put some private stuff on there for you guys. So just let us know. Probably because the shorts, Mario clip. No, I wouldn't. I didn't do that. They're CapCut videos, dude. Come on.
OnlyFans, Naveed. That's not the content people are here for.
Oh my God, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. So
Mario looks like he's wearing 2 giant earrings of human hair.
About to take these off for a fight. That's crazy. All right, y'all have a great night. Enjoy Buffalo Bills victory Monday while Paul cracks up, and we're out of here for tonight.
Thank you, Paul, as well as the rest of the Hashtag Sports crew. It's an honor being a sponsor. Investing in real estate, especially in the Phoenix metro area, may change your financial picture forever. And it's easier than you may think. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and proud of it. Yet I live in the Valley of the Sun, have for decades, and love it. I also humbly run one of the top real estate teams in Arizona. We help others score, as it were, when it comes to buying, selling, renting, and of course, investing in real estate. I've been a multi-million-dollar producer for many years, and the Mr. Rogers Homes Arizona real estate team has earned the top spot at West USA Realty for 10 years plus. Again, thank you, Hashtag Sports, Go Bills, and God bless